and what happened next still haunts me every single night. My granddaughter saved my life, and she was only 7 years old. Before I tell you this story, I need you to understand something. Children see things we don't. They sense danger when we're too blind, too trusting, or too in love to notice. And sometimes, the monsters they try to warn us about aren't hiding under the bed. They're sleeping right next to us. My name is Robert, and I'm 63 years old now. But this story begins 2 years ago, when I thought I had finally found happiness after decades of loneliness. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there? Drop a comment below. I'd love to know who's listening to an old man's confession tonight. Let me take you back to the beginning. I lost my first wife, Martha, to cancer when I was 52. We had been married for 28 years. She was my everything, my best friend, my soulmate, the mother of my only son, Daniel. After she passed, I told myself I would never love again. I buried that part of my heart with her. For 8 years, I lived alone in our house in Portland, Oregon. I retired from my job as a pharmacist. I had saved enough money over the years, plus Martha's life insurance policy left me comfortable. Not wealthy, but comfortable. I owned our house outright. I had a decent retirement fund. I could live peacefully for the rest of my days. Daniel lived in Seattle with his wife and their daughter, Emma. They visited when they could, maybe once every couple of months. I understood. They had their own lives. Daniel worked long hours as a software engineer. His wife traveled frequently for her marketing job. I was lonely, but I accepted it. That was my life now. Then I met her, Victoria. She was 47 years old, with dark hair and green eyes that seemed to look right through me. We met at a grief support group at my church. She said her husband had died in a car accident 3 years earlier. She said she understood the pain of losing someone you loved. She was kind, attentive. She laughed at my terrible jokes. She made me feel like I wasn't invisible anymore. Looking back now, I realize how perfectly she played her role. Every word, every gesture, every tear she shed when talking about her late husband. All of it was calculated. All of it was a lie. But I didn't see the lie. I saw a beautiful woman who seemed to genuinely care about a lonely old man. We dated for 6 months before she moved in with me. 3 months after that, we were married at the courthouse. Daniel flew down for the ceremony. He seemed happy for me, though I noticed he was quieter than usual around Victoria. Emma, my 7-year-old granddaughter, was the flower girl. She looked like an angel in her white dress. But when Victoria bent down to hug her after the ceremony, Emma pulled away. She hid behind Daniel's leg and wouldn't look at my new wife. I should have paid attention to that moment. I should have listened. The first year of our marriage was good, or at least I thought it was good. Victoria took care of the house. She cooked dinner every night. She was affectionate and loving. But slowly, things began to change. She started asking questions about my finances. How much was in my retirement account? What was the house worth? Did I have life insurance? I thought she was just being practical. We were married now. It made sense to discuss these things. I told her everything. I showed her my bank statements. I added her name to my accounts. I updated my life insurance policy to make her the sole beneficiary. $250,000. That's what my life was worth to her. The changes were subtle at first. Victoria started bringing me coffee every morning. Always the same mug, always prepared exactly the way I liked it. She insisted on it, said it was her way of showing love. I started feeling tired all the time. Weak, dizzy. I blamed it on age. 61 years old. What did I expect? But then the stomach problems started. Nausea. Cramping. I couldn't keep food down. I lost 15 pounds in 2 months. Victoria was so concerned. She took me to doctors. She held my hand during appointments. She cried when the tests came back inconclusive. Nobody could figure out what was wrong with me. I thought I was dying. Some mysterious illness that would take me the same way cancer took Martha. Victoria seemed to think so too. She started talking about what would happen when I was gone, where I wanted to be buried, what kind of funeral I wanted. She said she just wanted to be prepared. I was too sick to notice how eager she seemed. Then came the weekend that changed everything. Daniel called to say he was bringing Emma down for a visit. His wife was away on business, and he thought it would be nice for Emma to spend time with her grandfather. I was thrilled. Despite feeling terrible, I couldn't wait to see my granddaughter. They arrived on a Friday evening. Daniel looked concerned when he saw me. He said I looked thin, pale. He asked if I was really okay. I lied and said I was fine, just a little under the weather. Victoria made dinner that night. She prepared everything herself and insisted we all eat together as a family. I noticed she served me from a separate dish than everyone else. She said it was a special low-sodium version for my health. Emma barely touched her food. She kept staring at Victoria with those big brown eyes. She didn't say a word during the entire meal. After dinner, Victoria suggested that Daniel and I catch up in the living room while she cleaned the kitchen. Emma asked if she could help clean. This was unusual. Emma was 7. What 7-year-old volunteers to clean? But Victoria smiled and said, of course. They disappeared into the kitchen together. 20 minutes later, Emma came running into the living room. Her face was pale. Her hands were shaking. She ran straight to me and threw her arms around my neck. "Grandpa," she whispered. Her voice was trembling. "Grandpa, don't drink the coffee tomorrow morning." "What?" I asked, confused. "Why not, sweetheart?" She looked around to make sure Victoria wasn't nearby. Then she leaned close to my ear. I saw her put something in it. In the special jar, the one she uses only for you. She was talking on the phone, and she said soon. She said it would look natural. My blood ran cold. Daniel leaned forward. "Emma, honey, what are you talking about?" Emma's eyes filled with tears. "She's hurting Grandpa. I saw it. Please believe me. I'm not making it up. I'm not." The desperation in her voice broke my heart. This wasn't a child seeking attention. This wasn't imagination. This was pure fear. Daniel and I exchanged a look. Victoria came back from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. She saw Emma clinging to me and frowned. "What's wrong?" she asked. Her voice was sweet, concerned. But now I heard something else in it, a sharp edge hidden beneath the honey. "Nothing," I said quickly. "Emma just missed her grandpa, that's all." That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed next to Victoria, listening to her breathe, wondering if the woman beside me was trying to kill me. It seemed impossible. Insane. Victoria was my wife. She loved me. But Emma's words echoed in my mind. The coffee, the special jar, it would look natural. The next morning, Victoria brought me coffee in bed. The same mug, the same gentle smile. "Here you go, sweetheart," she said. "Drink it while it's hot." I looked at the coffee. Steam rose from the dark liquid. "Actually," I said, "I'm not feeling well this morning. I think I'll skip the coffee today." Something flickered in Victoria's eyes. Just for a second. But I saw it. Annoyance. Maybe even anger. She recovered quickly, smiled, and said of course. She took the mug away. After she left, I got out of bed and went to the kitchen. I found Emma sitting at the table, eating cereal. Daniel was still asleep. "Show me," I whispered to her. "Show me the jar you saw." Emma led me to the pantry. In the back corner, hidden behind bags of flour and sugar, was a small glass jar filled with white powder. I had never seen it before. I took the jar. I didn't open it. I didn't know what it was, but I knew it shouldn't be there. I hid it in my jacket pocket. That afternoon, I told Victoria I needed to run some errands. She offered to come with me, but I said I wanted to go alone. She seemed suspicious, but didn't argue. I drove straight to a lab where a former colleague of mine worked. Being a retired pharmacist had its advantages. I knew people who could test substances quickly and quietly. 3 hours later, I had my answer. Thallium. The jar contained thallium sulfate, a slow-acting poison that causes symptoms almost identical to natural illness. Fatigue, nausea, hair loss, organ failure. It's nearly undetectable in standard medical tests. It was once called the poisoner's poison because it leaves almost no trace. Victoria had been putting it in my coffee for months. My wife was slowly murdering me. I sat in my car in the parking lot for a long time. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. The woman I had married, the woman I had trusted with my heart and my life, wanted me dead. For money. For $250,000. I thought about calling the police immediately, but I knew I needed more evidence. Thallium in a jar wasn't enough. I needed to catch her in the act. I drove home with a plan forming in my mind. That evening, I told Victoria that Daniel and Emma were leaving early the next morning. I said I wanted to spend some quality time alone with her. She smiled. Of course, sweetheart. I'll make us a special dinner tomorrow night. I smiled back. I can't wait. That night, I whispered to Daniel what I had discovered. I showed him the lab results. His face went white with rage and horror. I told him what I needed him to do. The next morning, Daniel made a show of packing up the car and saying goodbye. Victoria waved from the porch, all smiles. But Daniel didn't actually leave. He drove around the block and parked down the street. He had brought a small recording device, the kind he used for work meetings. He crept back to the house and positioned himself outside the kitchen window. Inside, I told Victoria I was feeling tired and wanted to rest before dinner. I went to the bedroom and pretended to sleep. I heard her in the kitchen, pots and pans, water running, the sounds of cooking, then silence, then soft footsteps. She opened the bedroom door and peeked in. I kept my breathing slow and steady, eyes closed. She watched me for a long moment. Then she closed the door and went back to the kitchen. An hour later, she called me for dinner. I came to the table. She had prepared my favorite meal, roasted chicken with vegetables, a glass of wine, and coffee, a fresh pot, just for me. This is wonderful, I said. Thank you. She smiled that beautiful, terrible smile. You deserve it, Robert. You've been so sick lately. I just want to take care of you. I picked up my fork. Then I stopped. You know, I said, before we eat, I want to say something. She tilted her head. Of course. What is it? I looked her directly in the eyes. I know, I said. Her smile faltered. Know what? I know about the thallium. The color drained from her face. I know you've been poisoning me for months. I know about the $250,000. I know your husband didn't die in a car accident. He divorced you after he caught you stealing from him. I know you've done this before. She stared at me. Her mask crumbled, and underneath I saw something cold and empty. Something inhuman. You can't prove anything, she said. Her voice was different now. Hard. Calculating. Actually, I said, I can. I had the powder tested, thallium sulfate, and my colleague has documented my symptoms for months. Classic thallium poisoning. It's all recorded. I pulled out my phone. And this conversation is being recorded too, along with video from outside the kitchen window. My son has been watching everything. Her eyes darted to the window. Through the glass, she could see Daniel holding up his phone. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Victoria lunged across the table at me. She grabbed a knife from beside her plate. Her face twisted with rage. You stupid old man, she screamed. You should have just died quietly. But I was ready for her. I grabbed her wrist and twisted. The knife clattered to the floor. She fought like a wild animal, scratching and biting. But 60 years of living had taught me a few things. I held on. Daniel burst through the back door. Together, we restrained her until the police arrived. It took them 20 minutes to get there. The longest 20 minutes of my life. Victoria screamed the entire time. She threatened us. She cursed us. She swore she would kill us both. The woman I had loved was gone. Maybe she had never existed at all. The investigation revealed everything. Victoria's real name was Vanessa Morgan. She had a history of fraud and theft dating back 2 decades. She had been married 3 times before me. 2 of those husbands had died under mysterious circumstances. The cases had never been solved. Until now, police exhumed the body of her second husband. They found traces of thallium in his remains. She had murdered him for his life insurance. And she would have murdered me too. At her trial, Victoria showed no remorse. She stared at me with those green eyes, cold and dead, as the judge sentenced her to life in prison without the possibility of parole. 2 counts of murder in the first degree, 1 count of attempted murder, insurance fraud, poisoning. She would die behind bars. As they led her away in handcuffs, she looked back at me one last time. I didn't flinch. I had already grieved the woman I thought she was. The woman standing before me now was a stranger, a monster wearing a human mask. Recovery was slow. The thallium had damaged my liver and kidneys. I spent 3 months in treatment. Some days were better than others. Some days I wondered if the damage was permanent. But I was alive. Because of Emma. My beautiful, brave 7-year-old granddaughter had saved my life. Daniel moved back to Portland to be closer to me. Emma visits every weekend now. We bake cookies together. We watch old movies. We talk about everything and nothing. Last month, She asked me if I was sad about Victoria. I thought about it for a long time. I was sad, I told her. I was sad that I trusted the wrong person. I was sad that people like her exist in the world. But I'm not sad anymore, because I have you and your dad, and that's all I need. She hugged me tight. Grandpa, she said, I'm glad you believe me. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. If you're watching this video, I want you to remember something. Children see what we don't. They sense danger before we do. They notice the small things that adults overlook. When a child tells you something is wrong, listen. Don't dismiss them. Don't tell them they're imagining things. Don't assume they don't understand. Emma understood perfectly. She saw through Victoria's mask when I was too blind to see it myself. And because I finally listened to her, I'm still here today. My granddaughter didn't just save my life. She taught me the most important lesson I've ever learned. Trust the children. They know. I'm 63 years old now. I live alone in my house in Portland. Some mornings are harder than others. Some nights I still wake up in a cold sweat, dreaming of green eyes and white powder and the smell of coffee. But I'm alive. And every Sunday, when Emma comes over and we bake chocolate chip cookies together, I remember why. Because she was brave enough to speak up, and I was wise enough to listen. If this story touched you, please give it a like. Drop a comment telling me your thoughts. Have you ever had someone in your life who tried to warn you about danger? Did you listen? And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more true stories about betrayal, justice, and the people who survived against all odds. Remember, listen to the children. They see what we miss. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. Until next time.